So let's take a look at some news stories. All right. So the Cybertruck, you've probably seen these ridiculous things going around. It turns out they're an incredible flop, the worst flop in automotive history, even worse than the Edsel. They can't sell them, and Tesla won't even take them as trade-in. You just pretty much have to junk them if you get tired of having one. So it's pretty amusing, at least for somebody like me. I've been at the Tesla protests. I'm sort of happy to see Tesla going down, since I don't like what Elon Musk is doing. I don't much want a country ruled by a Nazi. All right, let's see. I'm just trying to see what's going on here. Okay, fair enough. All right, so this was interesting. The president and the vice president, and pretty much all the Republicans in power, are just extremely outrageous about lying, which is Trump started it. They just make up complete lies. And so they basically claim that 40% of calls to Social Security are attempts to commit fraud. And this is, of course, the current justification. Now, what they're actually doing is ending Social Security and ending all government programs that help people, which is basically rolling back the New Deal from FDR, which is something a lot of Republicans have wanted to do from very back then. But anyway, this particular claim is crazy, and you can see where it came from. They did track down at the Washington Post where it came from. What they said was, of the fraud attempts in Social Security, 40% of them involve calling trying to change the address to which checks are mailed to, which is a very different statement. It's not that 40% of all calls are fraudulent. It's that technique is 40% of the fraudulent things. And so that's the sort of thing they do. They're just full of lies. Elon Musk is trying to claim that half of all the money in Social Security is fraud. Therefore, he can cut half the money out of it without taking benefits from people that deserve benefits, which is certainly false. And this, of course, was the main thing that was making it seem like Trump is probably going to go down, because Social Security is the third rail in American politics. Old people really care about Social Security, and old people vote. And a lot of them are Republican, and they're not going to stick with your party if you cut away their benefits. But now he's crashing the stock market deliberately. And so it really does seem like even the Republican lawmakers are probably going to push against him, but it'll realistically take several months for them to stop him from doing what he's doing with tariffs. And by then, a lot of damage will be done. So, and of course, RFK Jr. is a lunatic put in charge of the medical fraud. He's a vaccine denier, and now he has ended up in the middle. He's been pushing anti-vax stuff for decades, saying vaccines are poison and they're bad and you're better off to just not have them, with one of his recent claims being highly entertaining, saying that the best way to prevent measles is to let everybody catch measles, because after that they're immune, which is like a very strange argument, that the best way to prevent something is to let it happen. But anyway, now he actually had usual statements followed by a mild statement in the third paragraph of a tweet saying, well, you know, the MMR vaccine is the best way to stop measles. So now the anti-vaxxers are mad at him for that. And the people that believe in science are mad at him for all the lies. So he's put himself in the middle, which is also where Gavin Newsom has placed himself. Gavin Newsom tried moving to the right and sort of compromising with far-right figures. So he's also placed himself halfway between the Democrats and the Republicans. And this, I thought, was common sense that everybody knew, that when you are in a time of combat, you have to pick a side. If you sit on the fence in the middle, all you do is you make everybody hate you. And so both of them have done that. So the tariffs are way out of control. The Trump team invented these tariffs apparently by just feeding flawed formula into an AI, which made up a bunch of crazy numbers. So they're putting huge import tariffs on almost everything coming in the nation, which is going to trash all attempts to make international trade in America and pretty much any way to manufacture anything, because as you probably know, everything uses parts imported from China or other countries. And so the other countries are retaliating. And so now Samsung, however, has a way to get around it. Samsung is the Korean company, but they can make displays in Mexico and then move them in from Mexico where the tariffs are lower. So that's one way to get around it. That's one response. And so this one, trying to remember what was the point of. Oh, this was this is another thing that's happening. I've seen people post pictures of empty airplanes coming in from foreign countries, and here's a chart showing this. This is the number of people coming through the international terminals, and as you can see, it's fallen by like 30% in the last few months. So this I've heard from a lot of people. Many of our previously allied nations like Ireland and the UK have posted warnings to their people saying it's dangerous to travel to America because the Border Patrol agents are very likely to pick some tiny little thing you do wrong and then lock you up in a jail incommunicado without being able to even contact your family, or nobody will know what will happen to you. So it's very dangerous. In fact, a lot of Americans that travel abroad are afraid when they come back because the Customs and Border Protection has the ability to examine all your devices, and if they find that you've said anything negative about Trump in a social network or something, they can hold you. So people are kind of afraid to travel and come back, thinking they might be arrested on the way back. And certainly foreigners are very, very nervous about coming here. I've seen very many of them say they're not coming. And DEF CON is the big security conference. I'll be there. And I'm not, DEF CON in the past, after the Edward Snowden revelations, the hackers of the world were so angry at the U.S. government that DEF CON canceled all talks by federal government employees and warned all federal government employees not to attend the convention because they couldn't guarantee your safety. And I feel like if I was running DEF CON, I would probably warn all foreigners not to attend this year on the grounds that they probably will not have, or not really safe trying to pass through our border either way. But we'll see what happens. Of course, I'm sure most of them will get through. I mean, there aren't that many cases of people being snatched up outrageously. It's just you're taking a chance. The chance is not too large, but it doesn't take a large chance to scare you. I was a little worried when I went to China. But at that time, China had not recently been just grabbing random foreigners and holding them, although they did after that. They grabbed a few Canadians and just held them hostage. And I had a chance to go to Russia, and I declined it because I knew of a man that had been kidnapped in my field in Russia and held for years as a hostage to trade for a Russian spy. So I felt like it was too dangerous to go there. Anyway, plenty of people go. I mean, the chance is not 100% or 50% or even 10%. But it's not zero. Anyway, so this is sort of a paranoid fantasy that comes true. Doge is using AI to scan the team meetings and other communications of U.S. federal workers, and they're scanning them to see if people are saying things negative about Trump or Musk, and if you are, then they'll fire you or punish you. So the supervisors warn people, be very careful what you say and very careful what you do. And this is exactly how life is in, say, North Korea or Russia, where you know that if you dare to criticize, or for that matter, Thailand, if you dare to criticize the king, it's a jailable offense. So people have to whisper in secret what they think and use secret code words online and such. So we're getting that way in America. All right. And so most of the major universities, Trump has contacted them and said they must obey his edicts or he will cut off all their funding. Harvard caved, and I think Columbia caved, all the big universities. And what he says is you must stop students protesting against the genocide in Gaza, and you must end your DEI programs, and you must cooperate with and help ICE agents find and arrest your immigrant students. And if you don't do those things, we're going to cut off all your money. And most of them have just caved. And I agree, the ones that should not roll over, the ones especially with huge endowments, where they could, in fact, live without federal money for a while. But they all just rolled over. And this small university, Wesleyan University, has a strong chancellor that's not rolling over. And he makes a case against cowardice. But, this is what happens. I was surprised the law firms have rolled over to Trump's, basically, it's blackmail. Or extortion is what it is technically. It's the same thing as a mafia saying, I'm going to hurt you unless you give me money or whatever I want. So anyway, at least one university president is standing up for it. I wouldn't expect very many to. I've been working in this field for a long time. University administrators tend to be completely weak and without principles and only care about money. Very few of them think otherwise, but apparently this one at Wesleyan does. So it's nice to see. If they would all stand together like a union, they might be able to stand against this. Anyway, I was out protesting last week on a Saturday. I hope you were. If you're inclined, I highly recommend it. I think the best thing we can do is get out in the street and protest against this government to try to hold them back before things get any worse. Anyway, let me stop.